Hey everybody.
Hello.
How's it going, everyone? Kiev's here today. Nana's back. What's up, Nana? Hugh's here. Julie, Eva, Emily, and Christina. What's up, everyone? I feel like we haven't seen Eva in a few days. Or in a few weeks, maybe. How's it going, Eva? Hope all's well. Nice to see you here. So Christina had a little problem. Let's see here. Did you see this message, Jessica? She had a Book Baby had a problem with some shipments, and they had to send back a bunch of books, apparently. Did you hear about this? Have you heard about this?
I haven't heard that they had to send back. Something happened with their supplier, and some orders got marked as completed when they were not. And so the shipping has been taking extra long.
All right. That sucks. Too bad.
Did you get a book, Christina, and then it didn't?
Yeah, she bought it, and it seems like the shipping's taking a while. They had to reship or something, maybe.
Yeah. Oh, man. Stay patient. It'll come.
All right. Let me pull over here to the troubleshooting, see if there's anything blaring, and then I'll jump into what we've got planned to talk about, which is essentially to reiterate everything we learned over the last few weeks and make sure that everybody's good going forward, right? So we've got to understand that this is long-term. Like any lifestyle or diet changes you make, they can't just be short-term. It can't be for a few days. You start eating a nutrient-dense whole food diet for a few weeks, and then you get the results and go back. That doesn't work. We've got to make lasting lifestyle changes if we want lasting benefits. So what we are here to do is teach you guys how to do this long-term, how to adjust your macros long-term, how to make sure that you're getting enough micronutrients, you're getting all the macronutrients you need, you're getting sufficient protein, which we talked about the first week. Make sure you're not creating too much of a deficit, right? If you're trying to lose body fat, you don't want to be making more stress on your body than necessary. So you want to be burning some body fat, of course, be getting some dietary fat without overdoing it, to find a nice balance of fat loss that's maintainable and enjoyable. Right? You don't want to be suffering through it. It's got to be fun. You got to enjoy the foods, but not too much. Right? So keeping out certain trigger foods might be necessary to some people. Some people might have to remove things like cheese and nuts, because it can be really hard to regulate hunger with some of these items. But for others, it might not be a problem. And depending on your context, you might require more or less food in general. So I think a lot of people out there, I think most of the people in this group, this round, are doing it for fat loss. There's other people like, Kiev, he's not looking for fat loss. I don't think, right?
No, that's not his main.
It's not his main goal. Okay, so he might be accepting some fat loss as a side effect moving forward, but there might be a couple other people in this group who are not looking to lose fat at all right now. And if you're in that boat, or if you reach your goal for fat loss, what you want to do is, first of all, make sure that you're getting sufficient protein. You don't really need to drop your protein levels. You probably don't need to increase your protein levels too much, but when you are going to be maintaining weight, you might want to eat a little bit more protein. So you might want to jump up your protein by like 10 grams or so and increase your fat intake. So to be about maintenance calories, you're probably going to want at least 1.5 grams of fat per gram of protein. Perhaps 2 grams of fat per gram of protein, depending on your energy output. So remember, protein stays relatively fixed. You don't need less. You don't want less. And you don't really need that much more, but you might want to use more in certain circumstances. As we age more, we become less efficient at assimilating protein. We turn over muscle tissue more as we age. So as we age, we actually need more protein. Right? So somebody who's young might not need as much protein as they do when they're 55, 65 years old. So there's so many different contexts that'll affect what nutrients we need, what our body craves, and we want to be mindful of this and enjoy the ride. So let's see here. Let me jump over troubleshooting now. All right, let's see. So, Mana says, it's been pretty warm there. It's been in the high 90s, low 100s, hitting about half the macros and feeling fine. So she got about half the food in that her macros suggested and felt great. The only thing that's halfway tempting is all the fresh fruit, right? Seasonal fruit, of course, will look good, especially in the summer. Right? Anything sweet, it's always attractive to us. These are foods that are more rare in their natural form. Right? You don't find these foods year round. You don't just come upon a huge bush full of ripe berries that often. And when we do, we don't take them and bring them back and put them in a refrigerator until about 100 years ago. We weren't able to do these things or store food so effectively. Now, fermentation, certain storage processes, making fermented foods or alcohol out of these foods is something that's historically always been done. But for the most part, when you find fresh fruit, it's natural to eat it right then. But the issue is when we have year-round availability of fresh fruit. If you live in Canada and you're eating a watermelon in the middle of winter, or live in the eastern United States, you're having a pineapple in the middle of winter. It's kind of a mismatch there, right? So, yeah, the summer, it definitely looks more tempting and feels more natural to reach out and want that. But in that context, we're trying to burn body fat. We want to avoid those foods. So, Mana, it is totally normal to look at foods that are tasty. And, there's nothing wrong with fresh fruit inherently. So it's normal to crave them every once in a while. It's normal to look at them and be attracted to them. But you don't have to go for it. And that's what's cool. And you actually will feel much better sticking with the way that you've been eating and enjoying all the benefits from that, which are going to include fat loss.
When you're at a good spot and you do want to try fruit, I remember when I think about for the first year when I was adapting to keto, I didn't have any sweets. I didn't use stevia. I didn't eat fruit. I didn't do anything sweet at all, and that really helped set my palate to appreciate the salty, savory foods. I'm extremely grateful for that whole process. It wasn't always easy, but I'm really glad that I did it that way. And then when I did try the fruit, I was surprised because I was so satisfied after just a few bites. And I waited until I felt comfortable for it, right? I wasn't afraid. I wasn't afraid of it. I didn't feel weird about eating it or guilty or any sort of anything. I just wanted to try it and experience how it would be in my body. And it was nice to share with my kids, but I really didn't want any more after just a few bites.
Yeah, you got to be objective. When you do reach a point where you're comfortable with your body composition, you're not trying to lose body fat anymore, trying some fresh fruits, stuff like that, it's fine. I'm a big fan of a lot of higher carbohydrate foods. Big fan of things like, wild caught fish. Well, wild honey. Foods like that can be incredibly beneficial. So it's not about staying away from carbohydrates forever. You don't have to stay away from carbs forever to be healthy. But when you're trying to lose body fat, the most effective thing you can do is keep away from those things. Because you put them in your mouth once and you might start craving them. But once you reach a point where you're enjoying your diet and you're not so focused on the fat loss anymore, trying some of these things can be fine. Ava says, okay, I'll toss the June berries I picked by a local college back to the birds.
Hey, but you know what? Things like that, that's what I would go for. I would go for a wild seasonal berry. To be honest, there aren't any other fruits that really interest me. We get wild blackberries here. So I'll take the kids, we'll go hiking up in the mountains and eat some. And I find that the more wild, the less domesticated a fruit is, the less sweet it is. And I think it has very different nutrition than, a blueberry that's been genetically modified, so to speak.
Not modified, it's been selected. That's a really misleading term that people use. They say all these foods are genetically modified. That means nothing. They're talking about genetic selection. When people talk about genetic modification, they're talking about going in there and forcing through viruses, changes in RNA and DNA, and putting in, fish DNA in a tomato and stuff like that. That's genetic modification. Blueberries aren't GMO, don't worry.
Right.
But yeah, wild stuff is definitely going to be more nutrient dense. But I don't know. I think that argument's interesting too. Let me play devil's advocate here. And most of these foods that are wild, these wilder fruits, they're highly highly loaded with protective compounds that make them very indigestible. And they've all got a lot of seeds, a lot of fiber. It's very abrasive. So I think a lot of these domesticated plants are domesticated for a reason, much like animals have been domesticated to give us food like butter and milk.
Fair point.
You know, it's like it's people get attached to ideas and dogma about what is natural, and they tend to pick and choose whatever suits their preferences at the moment, and then they call that natural. But you know what? Blackberries, wild blueberries, wild berries, even just some normal blueberries, some normal raspberries, in moderation, a few ounces or so, is very low in carb, right? There's not a lot of sugar in berries. So you can have berries, right, in moderation. Now, you want to make sure, just like with cheese and nuts for some people who are having trouble moderating food intake, you want to make sure not to go crazy on them. But these are not bad foods, and they can be very keto-friendly because they're super low in sugar. So a little bit of berries and cream every once in a while can be a great thing. You don't have to always pass on every seasonal fruit. And so, yeah, incorporating some berries is fine. Now, if you're helping somebody out and they're just getting adapted to a ketogenic diet, you don't want to be telling them to make meals out of berries and cream all the time, because people are not going to moderate that. They're going to get a pound of blueberries, throw that in a huge bowl, pour a gallon of cream in there, and they're going to eat that all day. That actually isn't an unhealthy meal. There's nothing wrong with that. But, if you're trying to lose weight, trying to lose body fat, you're not going to be wanting to eat foods like that. So it's about context.
I've seen a really great theme here in this group that I've really taken to heart, and it's essentially that eating cakes and cookies and bread has what made a lot of us fat. So I think it was Emily who said this. She was like, this is what made me fat. Why would I want to keep eating these things, even if they're keto? And I think the root of that is really adapting your perception of food, your relationship to food, and the way you meal prep and what you enjoy in your body. You have to shift that at a very fundamental level. And that's what I've been trying to reiterate with all of my meal prep lessons.
Become a fundamentalist.
With all of my meal prep lessons, I talk about building your meals around protein, right? So pick your favorite proteins, get to know those really well. Keep it simple. I mean, simplicity, I think, is often overrated here in the general diet. I mean, this is not a culinary tour. This is something that you're doing for long-term sustainable results that's going to impact your life for years and your family. And sure, there's nothing wrong with using baked goods and things for holidays and learning how to celebrate, if you have a special occasion. I don't see there's anything inherently wrong with that. But when you're trying to do that all the time or once a week, or when you're trying to emotionally comfort yourself with food, it's a slippery slope. And you guys are all at this really important part where you're becoming more aware of what you're eating and why you're eating it. And I think it goes hand in hand with reformulating your relationship and changing your taste buds at this biological level to go away from sugar and away from sweets and towards the salty, fatty, deliciously flavored foods that are really fueling your body and bringing you probably into places that you never even thought you could be. I want to see Kiev work on that a little bit. I know he likes the smoothies, which is a great thing. I know he's busy, but I think if you can take some time to work on go through these meal prep lessons that I shared with you, and if you can get more protein from a whole food source and less from a protein powder, I think you'll enjoy it.
Yeah, that's a big thing. Getting the foods from unrefined sources. Protein powder doesn't satiate like real whole foods do.
Kind of like a Band-Aid.
Yeah. Protein powder, not very bioavailable. I mean, it's not an ideal situation, but can be useful in some contexts. But Kiev's been going through a really busy phase, so hopefully he's able to spend a little bit more time on the meal prep stuff moving forward.
And I took a quick look at your smoothie, Kiev, and I think I would just simplify it a little bit. I know, so I'll give you an example, and I think Ava touched on this really nicely too. If I were to make a smoothie, if I interpreted what you're saying correctly, you want a thick chocolate smoothie, kind of like a milkshake. I would go for a combination of cacao powder an avocado, maybe use some liquid Lakanto drops or stevia drops to sweeten it. Some ice. You could put in coffee if you want a mocha flavored. I like mocha. Put in some coffee or use a light coconut milk. Or full fat coconut milk too. I'm not exactly sure what the macros would come out, but experiment something like that. And then eat that with an egg muffin or with some meatballs or, with a grilled chicken breast or something. Have a way. I'd like to see you learn how to bulk prep some really simple staple proteins that you can pack in and then, have your smoothie on the side.
Yeah, meal prep's really important, guys. Anybody who can meal prep can be a major game changer for so many people. I mean, you can knock out 3 days worth of food in a couple hours of work, and that can save you so much time, so much energy, and so much stress.
Yep.
I think Hugh was about to jump in. He unmuted himself, and then Hugh, you got something to add, my friend? How's it going, man?
Hey, bud. I was just gonna say for Kiev, why are you doing shakes more for like protein on the go, trying to get macros in? Is it just for time saving or is it pre-workout shake? What's the main purpose of the shakes that you're making in general?
From what I understand, it's kind of a convenience thing. He's very busy. For this reason, I usually suggest foods like having hard-boiled eggs. Right, simple foods, even I love sardines. I'm a big fan of sardines. It's no secret. I like the Wild Planet sardines. Have a case of those in the car. That's another strategy that people can use. But it just depends on what you can handle too. Some people aren't into the foods I like, so that can be a limitation. There can be mental limitations to, people can have blocks about certain foods too. A lot of people think that sardines are gross, but they think that a lot of people think that sardines are anchovies. But, it's sometimes just trying the food can be really helpful. Trying something new. But, I think
when I first started this, I did the same, I did kind of looking at what everybody does and reading things online and looking at like people at Keto Connect who love making these really highly palatable, lots of protein powder stuff. And then I really started I really noticed that regardless, I was still gaining weight, right?
Yeah.
All these heavy creams and everything. And I just started really breaking it down to basics. I threw away all the BCAAs I bought, all of the isopure powders and these kind of things. Then I just started using just eggs. And, the only powders I use now are basically the almond powder and coconut powder.
I mean, you can have raw eggs. Like, this is the thing people forget. It's like, you can just take an egg, crack it open, and eat that thing raw. There's no preparation needed for some of these foods that are just whole, unrefined foods.
One of the best milkshakes that I started making for a while, but again, it was high caloric, and maybe I would use it for, meal replacement. We had like 4 or 5 raw eggs in it.
Nice.
A little bit of cream cheese, a little vanilla extract, some Lakanto in it was just amazing. Some cacao powder in it, and it was like you could turn it chocolate, you could turn it, vanilla.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter, but it was just super filling.
There's a good one, yeah. So like maybe make a shake. I mean that's essentially a slight modification on some of the smoothies that Kiev's been doing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean that's a great idea right there. There's some raw eggs, some cacao, something to sweeten it with, a non-glycemic sweetener, erythritol or Lakanto. And you're golden. It can be that simple. So I think he's going to get some more time, hopefully in the next couple weeks, where his schedule will be a little bit less demanding. He's a high energy guy with the high demand lifestyle right now. But I think we can all take note of what Hugh's saying there is that there's, sometimes we just need to look at it from a different angle and just think, okay, what other ingredients can I start incorporating that I haven't even thought about now? So there's one that, most people out there, including myself years ago, I would have thought it was really gross to even think about raw eggs, right? Like, oh, raw eggs? Like, I wouldn't do that. But, man, I mean, I love them. They're really good. Eva puts it in her coffee, she says. She puts them in the morning coffee, creamy and filling. Nice. They can be really, really good. And you know what? They're highly digestible when they're raw. A lot of people, there's different theories on this, but I feel that when I eat a raw egg, there is like I could eat a lot of them. Yeah, all right, I could eat 3 times as many raw eggs in a sitting than I can cooked eggs, and I won't feel sluggish at all. It'll feel like I just drank some water, right? Like raw eggs just kind of, they just slip right in. You know, they just get absorbed.
And if you're not into the... Oh, go ahead, Q.
I'm sorry, I was saying,
Nice.
and if you want to add more fat and maybe less protein, just do the egg yolks. So, that's what I started doing later on too. It was like 6 eggs, but 6 egg yolks and 4 total eggs, whole eggs. I just separate them. So you can really play around with the macros, just by taking egg whites out or using more egg yolks.
Yep.
As well.
Yeah, that's a great one, man. Again, to reiterate, one of the coolest foods that you can, one of the most keto friendly foods. One of the best keto-friendly foods that's affordable and available in most places are just sardines, canned sardines. You can bring those with you anywhere. They're lightweight, they're small. You can travel easily with them, and just they got sodium in the can with them too. So they're
Emily's making a really important part here. She says she's not a huge fan of sardines, but she eats them because they are so good for protein and they are easy, ready to go.
She chokes them down like she's taking her medicine.
As I eat them, I think of them as medicinal. Yeah. And this makes me think of 2 things. First of all, sometimes you do just have to push yourself to eat these foods because your body literally is not used to surviving off of foods like this. Second of all, you should think of your food as medicine. Every bite, every choice that you're making to be healthier, that is healing, and that is fueling you, and that's giving you momentum to go into the future.
Yeah. Now, these are quality foods. And you might not like the taste of it the first time you try it, but if you learn what to surround it with, it'll be really enjoyable. Right? So you want to eat foods that are enjoyable. You don't have to force it in. But it's important to look at food as nourishment and energy rather than entertainment too. So it's the perspective that we have on our foods moving forward can be huge. So just the way that you look at food, the way that you relate to certain foods is super important. Now, this doesn't have anything to do with meal prep, but just perspective in general. What's important is the effect of the food long term, not the temporary taste sensation and taste pleasure that the donuts give us, that the grain and sweet foods give us. When the long-term effect is not enjoyable, is not beneficial to health and longevity and vitality. So it's just making simple adjustments in perspective can be really important as we're moving forward too. And not forgetting what's important, right? Not forgetting the other metrics other than just what the scale says, right? Like, some of us lose body fat, and that's great. It's kind of the low-hanging fruit though. Right? The best thing is taking control of your life, taking control of your automatic reactions. Not being a slave to your food. Not being an addict to those habits. That's real freedom right there. We're not here to become slaves to some diet. We're here to be freed of the burden of being enslaved by our former habits. What else, everybody? Hey, Julie. Julie says, slave to food, slave to medications. Yeah. These are things that human beings have dealt with for a long time. We all can have a tendency to let things get blown out of proportion, become dependent ritualistically on certain behaviors, whether that be in our relationships with our loved ones, our friends and family, emotional states that you resonate with or unconsciously gravitate towards or put others in through habit. We can become a slave to these things, a slave to these mind states. We can become oppressed, by beliefs that we have that limit us. We have to sometimes just take a simple shift in perspective and understand, what do we really want? What's really important here? All right, we're not doing this diet just to have a bunch of fun and eat a bunch of food. Although I have to admit, it's really, really fun eating steak all the time and eating eggs all the time. Being able to have heavy cream. Be able to have nutrient-dense whole foods would fill us up and taste delicious. It does feel good, but that's not the point. The point is the long-term effect. The point is the journey, not just the entertainment, right? We entertain ourselves to death. We become slaves to that, right? Like, entertainment is slavery. Start looking at food as entertainment, right? If we become addicted to the television, what happens? Our entire worldview can be formed by the producers, by the money changers behind those programs on the television. So we've got to keep perspective, right? Food is for nourishment, so we can live.
I think you mentioned this in the past, Tristan. You have to remember that the industry spends billions of dollars on basically, psychic warfare on us to train us to buy the foods that they want us to buy.
Yeah.
The little Disney characters on the boxes. We associate these really horrible breakfast cereals with funny little characters.
Exactly. We're eating a freaking Disney diet, right? Like you're gonna have having a Disney diet and a Disney worldview. Like your whole people. It's really, really sad, but a lot of our generation, we were raised on, and my parents too. Like they were raised on Disney. It was like Disney was their theology. It's crazy, and it reaches all the way through every single level of society, man. The little characters on the box that give you an emotional reaction, the commercials, the television commercials that tell us, what food is. Right, and that there's billions of dollars spent on advertisement, but there's also billions of dollars spent just weaponizing these foods against our palate to make them so delicious and tasty that we can't stop eating them. These foods are not a result of these things. You don't get a Snickers bar in the natural world, right? And then of course, what is natural, right? But we have to design and engineer these Snickers bars to bring out and accentuate certain sensations, flavors, and feelings that can be highly addictive and create unmanageable response feedback loops. Same thing with social media, right? So, there are so many aspects of health that go beyond just food, too. I'm kind of tying in some of these things here. Nana's talking about cigarettes, all the chemicals added to make you addictive. Exactly. Right? Like straight tobacco. You ever see somebody that's just addicted to pure tobacco that they grow in their yard? No. These are things that are highly, highly engineered to make them addictive. That addiction also comes at a cost. Physiologically, a lot of these things are really dangerous physiologically as well. A lot of these foods, preservatives in them, artificial flavors in them, endocrine disrupting chemicals, hormone mimicking chemicals in them. Very, very dangerous. Very, very detrimental to human health, mental clarity, and the entire structure and fabric of society. So, raising healthy families, getting ourselves and our bodies functioning well, and our minds able to function well, has great effects downstream. And we're way more than just what we eat, but we've got to be mindful of what we eat. We're all about that whole foods-based diet, not looking at this as a source of entertainment. All right, let's see. No cronuts for me. What are cronuts? The formulas are designed to make us want more. Yeah, no, they're all designed to make us want more. Same thing with pharmaceutical drugs, right? These are things that they have their place, but also come at a cost. And a lot of us end up regulating our mood, our physiology, our emotions with food. A lot of us end up overeating, becoming addicted to sugar and food, and using that to try and keep our physiology balanced in a certain way. But then we become way out of balance, right? The addictive centers in our brain start craving all this sugar. We start getting the dopamine rush from the junk food all the time. And it's a negative feedback loop that never ends. we have to replace those habits, right? Those pleasure centers in the brain and the body are still there. You still enjoy food. But we've got to transmute that. We've got to transmute that desire. We've got to kind of purify the intention around it. And then you'll still hit those pleasure centers because you're going to be getting pleasure from living life, right? Julie says, eat to live, not live to eat, right? And that's huge. You feel so much better. Your life becomes so much better when you're really living. And so getting outside, getting the natural light, living our life, focusing on things other than just the food, other than just the sensory pleasure that we get from the food. And of course, good food, nourishing food is incredibly pleasurable. But sometimes we have to untrain ourselves from craving all this crap and thinking that that is nourishing us when it's doing the opposite. Cronut's a cross between a croissant and a donut. Wow.
What?
I was thinking this was like a Cro-Magnon mixed with a donut, genetically modified donut man. No, okay. Croissant and donut. Wow, sounds delicious, but
dangerous.
You know what? I'd look at it. I'd say, I'll pass. Give me a steak. Or give me some raw heart. How about that? I mean, there's so many good, nourishing foods that we don't even tap into. Right? That we're just afraid to even try. So, I mean, I can't emphasize enough the importance of getting in organ meats, focusing on things like liver and heart. Use the odd bit section of the book. All the resources that we've sent you, you guys have got that forever, right? Like you guys have. Was somebody jumping in? Was that you? Was that?
I am updating
all the
hub.
Okay, all the resources that we've got, which Jessica's updating right now, which she's been updating in live time, 24 hours a day for 4 weeks. And we've got all kinds of resources here that you guys have access to forever. So you don't have to, be scrambling for ideas. You're good, right? Everybody here has made leaps and bounds over the last month. And, so I want to, first of all, congratulate everybody for all the progress you've made. For all the changes you've made, for everything that you've implemented already, and encourage you guys to help others with this, because you're actually equipped, probably better than you even understand, to help others, to guide others through some of these dietary changes. Now, not everyone's got to go through a ketogenic diet, but just simple practices, right? I mean, even just helping people understand the importance of getting out a natural life. You got friends that are depressed, bring those friends to the lake for a day. Just simple things. Very, very important to focus on a holistic approach. Getting sufficient sleep. Getting natural light, which I'm about to do right now. And enjoying every single step of the ride. And appreciating everything. Not just the taste of the food or the pleasure you get from the food, but the long-term effects. The downstream effects that come from treating yourself well and from enjoying a healthy, unrefined foods-based diet. Eating to live, not living to eat, like Julie said. All right, Nana says that AM PM commercial with that weird creature, all made up junk that they're just pushing. Yeah, AM PM. 7-Eleven, AM PM. Those are not places where you get food. Those are like crack houses, right? Those are not pharmacies where you go to get good medicines. Those are crack houses. Not that the pharmacies are where you go to get good medicines anyways, right? I mean, it's what you're doing when you feed yourself well, when you give yourself a whole foods, unrefined diet, and when you treat yourself like a human being. You get outside in natural light. You get engaged with your local communities. You speak the truth. Right? You admit when you're wrong, when you've been on the wrong path. You make corrections to other parts of your life that need correcting. Right? When you seek something beyond just your own pleasure. All these help us to formulate a lifestyle that's worth living. It's worth passing on. And that inspires other people. Right? We've all been given life. And it's our choice what we do with it. It's our choice what we do with the time and the energy that we're given. And we can only do one thing at once, right? We can't take every single path. Most of those paths, you don't want to take one step down. Right? So, I mean, we've all wasted a lot of time already in our life, and I think it's really important to understand that this is a gift. It doesn't last forever. These bodies don't last forever. So we don't want to waste our time. We don't want to waste our energy. We want to enjoy this. So thanks, you guys, for joining us today, for joining us this month. Everybody's been doing really, really good. If you guys have any questions about adjustments moving forward, if anybody's running into any issues, just let us know. We're going to have another meeting on Sunday. Today's Thursday. 1 p.m. Central Standard Time, 1 p.m. CST. That's GMT -5 on Sunday. And we'll wrap it up on that day. That's going to be the last day there. So, let's see. Jessica is, she's making the Stay in Touch channel. Right? We encourage all you guys to stay in touch with each other. Right? So the Discord server will be closed next week. We'll leave it up for a couple days after Sunday so people can catch up. But the Discord server will be closed. All the links, all the resources we've shared with you will be available on the hub where you guys have the login information. If you ever need to access it, you can always access everything, every link we've sent you. And yeah, I mean, it's been really enjoyable. We really appreciate everybody joining us this month. It's always sad, like bittersweet to end these, right? You know, it's so nice getting to know so many of you. Emily is throwing cry emojis at us. Tears to my laptop. Nana's not getting emails. What will you do without us? Emily, you got this, girl. What will you do without us? You made it this far without us. You just met us. Right? You just met everybody in this group. Everybody in this group right now is perfectly capable of moving forward and enjoying this way of life, this diet, for the rest of your life. Christina asks if she says we can always come back for more sessions, right? For more Keto Collective sessions. No, you can't.
That's not true. You guys.
It's a highly selective process.
You're all welcome to come.
Yeah, you know what? In fact, we were talking about this earlier. We want to offer anybody who's done the Keto Collective before, we'll give you guys 20% off on future Keto Collectives. So anybody who wants to join on future Keto Collectives, 20% off.
Do we have a date for the next one?
Spence says you can pay again as many times as you want. Yeah, you can pay, but you can't join. Just pay. No, just kidding. Yeah, we'd love to have you guys back. Obviously, the goal is not to make you guys dependent on this, right? Like, we're not trying to upsell you over and over again on Keto Collectives. We'd love if you join again. You know, and that's why we want to give you guys discounts. And maybe we've talked about models moving forward for people who really enjoy it and who want to get in on, multiple sessions, more than 2 or 3. But yeah, everybody in here. How about 25%? We'll give them 25% off.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. 25. 25. 30 would be over the top. That's too much. That's not fair to anyone else. 25% off. 26%? No, 25's good. All right, 25%. You guys can all get 25% off. But look, the goal is to make you self-sustained with this, right? Like, we're not trying to give you crumbs here and then have you come buy more crumbs later on. Like,
right.
that's not how we're working here. We want you guys to be able to do this on your own. Absolutely no shame at all in joining us again, right? But we don't want you to feel dependent on it, selling your body out on the streets to join the Keto Collective. Really, you don't need to do it. You'll be all right.
They thrive on this interactive community environment. And we've seen, you see real friendships get forged here. And people, there's some really, really valuable content that gets shared between all the members here. And it's a
the
really
stuff that inspires us is the stuff that you guys say to each other.
Yes, exactly.
Like the stuff that you guys share with each other, because look, we say a lot of this stuff hundreds of times per month. It's and I'm not complaining at all. I love it. I love helping people, but it's really, really cool seeing everybody else help each other out and build confidence together.
Yes.
right? And really, really push each other.
Yes. And share practical approaches. Because we all have our own little variations on what we like and our preferences and what's available in our areas. And so what Tristan and I do in our daily food prep, it might not be what you want to do. But somebody else in the group might have some really good advice.
Right.
And that's what I love.
98% of people here are not going to eat raw beef heart, raw eggs, and drink a liter of cream. That was my meals the other day. It's just people aren't going to try some of the wild stuff that I like to play around with. But it's there's different strokes for different folks. Right? And hey, just because I might try things doesn't mean everybody needs to do them. I think it's important to be open-minded and try new things, but we don't have to be constantly looking for the next hot fad, right? Stick with what works. Build a foundation of the basics. Adjust as needed. Remember, protein, building block of the diet, right? It's the cornerstone. Fat, energy source on the diet. Fat is the fuel. It's burning in that protein furnace, though. So we need the protein to get the glucagon-insulin ratio right, to keep our hormones straight. Carrie loves raw eggs. There you go. She's tried raw heart and liver. Carrie, you get 26% off in the future. No, I'm kidding.
And you guys will see.
There's no nepotism here, guys.
There's a new chat room I just made. It's called Stay in Touch. So you can drop your email or your Instagram tag, or if you prefer to just private message people, that's fine too. I set it up for anybody who wants to put their contact in and stay in touch with others in the group. It's there.
Yeah, so Emily's talking about, or just to interrupt here and talk a little bit about food, and we can talk about this stuff later. Emily's talking about steak rare as a stepping stone to eating a little bit more, trying new things. Yeah. Eating a steak super rare, nothing wrong with it. A lot of people get freaked out by bacteria and meat.
Did you know that inside of muscle, it's sterile?
Yeah, so only the outside can get bacteria, but plants and raw vegetables are far, far more dangerous for food poisoning and bacterial-based illness. And healthy animals, meat is safe to consume without much preparation at all. I did put out a video the other day showing eating some raw heart. Obviously, I'm not saying everybody needs to do that, but just a suggestion for Emily. See how raw you can go, or not how raw, but see how rare you can go on that steak and enjoy it. I mean, when we cook steak now, we're we're searing it.
I sear it.
We sear it both sides. Mm-hmm. The inside's essentially raw, so it's different strokes for different folks, but it can be very, very easy on the digestion, right? It can digest much easier. Yep. So some people get constipation issues with a lot of cooked meat, highly cooked meat, and get a little bit better flow there, better movement with the juicy steaks.
I do that with my eggs too. I just cook it enough so the whites are cooked, and I prefer to leave the yolks runny.
Yeah, keep those yolks runny.
Mm-hmm. Carrie used to drink holes out of... No, wait. She used to drink the egg out of a tiny little hole her grandfather would poke with a needle.
Whoa!
Just slurp it up. That's very cool. I'm going to do that for Ariana when we're done here. And if you guys want to stay in touch later on, you can find us on Instagram. You can tag us at Primal Edge Health and give a hashtag Keto Collective if there's something that you want to share with us, recipe pictures or your time outside. The hashtag Keto Collective is a good way. We can see what's going on. It's always really fun hearing from clients a few months down the road, or even a year or two later. We still keep in touch with some people that we've worked with before. So it's really exciting to see these familiar names pop up.
Right. Stay in touch with each other too. Mm-hmm. There's the stay in touch section over there. You can always, send a friend request via Discord to each other, exchange emails. But we definitely encourage you guys to network with each other, and stay in touch, inspire each other, keep each other accountable. Sometimes just finding 2 or 3 people in this group that you can stay in touch with might really save you a lot of hassle through just creating a little bit of a network of communication where you can keep each other accountable.
And it's so sweet. I think it was Ava and Christina. They live in the same area, and they were going to meet up at a Whole Foods and get a lunch. And there's some other people.
Have they met up yet?
I don't know.
Are they both gone?
No, they're here. We have
Ava's here.
Brittany and Angela are both in Alaska. I know there's a number of people from Texas.
Oh, the funniest thing, Jessica had this thing in our group, we made a Facebook group for ketogenic baking.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So every once, we don't spend time on Facebook. Every once in a while we'll get in there, we'll just look at it. And there was a thread in there of some people who had met in that group. They had met up, and
they're in Europe.
Yeah, now are they living together? They're like fully in love.
They're totally in love.
Yeah. Yeah, so you never know. Not suggesting that you guys look at this as a love connection. It's just, I thought that was a really funny story that people threw a Facebook group on keto baking. Ended up in it. I'm always ripping on Facebook. I think it's totally toxic. And I think if you can delete your Facebook, you're going to be 100 times better off long term. But that moment made me reconsider and think, wow, maybe Facebook is good for one thing in one moment at one time. Facebook benefited 2 people in the world. Yeah, Facebook's awful, right?
Daddy.
Emily can't wait to send us X-rated photos of her body composition as it changes, she says. Oh no, G-rated. I read that wrong. Whoa. Okay. She's laughing. It's like, yeah, I know. Definitely. Look, when you guys want to check in, shoot us an email. We'd love to hear from you further down the line. Shoot us an email in a month or so. Let us know how you're doing. We want to know. It's always awesome to see how people are.
I can eat some raw heart right now.
Ari says she can eat some raw heart right now. She wants me to stop this and get her raw heart because she's hungry. All right, everyone. So let's see here. Emily's still on a Facebook break. Yeah, delete it. Delete your Facebook. Go sane. Get off of social media. So yeah, shoot us an email in the future. Let us know how you're doing. Obviously, this is not the last time we're meeting. We're just kind of, wrapping up. Spence says, God bless everyone. God bless you, Spence. Thanks for joining us, man. You'll be here on Sunday, right, dude? We'll see you on Sunday. All right.
I just dropped 2 articles in the chat while we've been talking here. In the meal prep, there is a guide for eating out on a ketogenic diet. Take a look at that if you're still not 100% restaurant literate with your ketogenic meal ordering.
If you're restaurant retarded.
That'll give you some ideas on what to get, how to make your food, how to special order stuff, and there's a whole bunch of ideas for different types of restaurants. As well as another article in the Hen House, 6 ways to love your body. Some motivation there.
It's a Cosmo magazine article with ice cubes. My mom used to read Ari has no idea why she's laughing, but she's awesome. My mom used to read those filth mags. Hey, another thing. Get off the freaking magazines and stuff. You got these fitness magazines, Cosmo, Glamour, stuff like that. These things are freaking toxic for your mind, your soul. What we put in our eyes, what we put in our ears, what we allow in our hearts, super, super important. But yeah, check out the article, 6 ways to love yourself. Or is it love your body? What was it? Love yourself.
Your body.
To love your body. Is that your article? Mm-hmm. Nice. Those are the only 6 ways that exist, too, by the way. This is a fact. There are no more beyond that.
All right, everybody. It's been a pleasure.
All right. We're going to run, guys. Thanks for hanging out. We'll see you on Sunday. 1 o'clock Central Standard Time. That's GMT -5 on Sunday. Bye, everybody.
Bye.